Leading Britain's conversation. LBC with Andrew Castle.
Russell Conway is with us, senior partner at Oliver Fisher Solicitors, a specialist in property law. Now, we're talking about this cladding debacle that is going on, the EWS1 form, and why it's so important and is ruining people's lives. And we were ruined by our Skype link earlier on, but Russell, we are back. Good morning again.
Good morning.
Right, now, what's this EWS form? And I did ask you the question, like, why is it so difficult to get, and why is this such a crisis for so many people?
Well, it's a huge crisis because the EWS1 form has to be signed off by a chartered fire engineer, and there are very few chartered fire engineers, only about 250 in the country. A great many of them are refusing to sign the forms because if they sign one and they get it wrong, they can be personally responsible for many, many £1 million of damage. Now, the form itself should never really have had to come about because the genesis of this form goes back to the Lacanel House fire in 2008, which was a high-rise fire caused by cladding, etc. And after the inquest that followed that fire, because 6 people died, Francis Kirkham, the coroner, wrote to the government, Mr Pickles, the minister at the time responsible for local government and housing, and the coroner said, you must amend the building regulations. Amongst other things, he also said there should be changes to the stay-put policy and retrofitting of sprinklers. But the government in 2013, when the coroner wrote to them, simply did not amend the fire regulations. They didn't amend, importantly, the building regulations. If they had amended the building regulations in 2013, when the coroner advised them to, there is a possibility that the Grenfell fire would not have had the consequences that it did. Now, EWS1 is something that followed on from Grenfell, and a lot of people following Grenfell took the view that cladding had to be removed, and they were right, but at whose expense? A lot of freeholders and building owners are saying it should be paid for by the leaseholders, but the leaseholders are completely innocent in all of this. They have, in good faith, purchased their flats for large sums of money, and they were blissfully unaware of the fact that they had been built with wonky building regulations. Yeah. Now they're facing the consequences, and huge numbers of leaseholders cannot sell their flats because people can't get mortgages on them because there is no EWS1 form. Large numbers of people can't remortgage to pay massive service charges that they're being asked to remedy the cladding, and we're in this perfect storm where flats can't be sold, people are miserable, people are frankly suicidal because they don't know what to do, and the government isn't giving sufficient help.
Yeah, I mean, freeholders, there's nothing in it for them to get this job done particularly quickly, is there, as well? Are people, I mean, ultimately, the only question that matters, well, the first question that should be answered is, are people living in unsafe properties in this country?
Yes, very much so,
right,
because we have large numbers of buildings in this country with cladding which is flammable, incorrect fire breaks, insulation which is flammable. We have a very small number of properties with sprinklers, and at the moment we have large numbers of buildings with waking watch patrols. We have people having to walk around the building 24 hours
well,
a day.
Exactly, and those prices don't go down year on year, which is also affecting those that are owning and trying to sell properties. Listen, Russell, thank you very much for sticking around and taking us through that. I'm sure we can talk about it again, but there's a lot of detail there. Much appreciated. Senior partner at Oliver Fisher Solicitors.